Listen here, feller. I'm Caitlin,
I'm Josh.
and welcome back. This week we've done a few things. We've watched Loki, we watched My Hero, we also watched the three-part series of Fear Street from Netflix. We also watched Black Widow today. So we got a lot of
Yeah,
stuff to talk about.
we literally just got back. Like, we're in the car. We're like, we're gonna do this.
All right,
hmm
time to record.
And surprisingly enough, everything that we've done this week is like brand new, in terms of like its new content.
Yeah.
Like the past couple episodes that we've done, actually every episode has just been like, oh yeah, I've been doing this thing. It's been out for like 20 years or something, or like it's been out for 5 years minimum.
Right.
Like last week, I talked about Stardew,
Mm-hmm.
and the week before that, we talked about was it Buffalo Dreams? Was that 2 weeks ago?
It was last week, I think.
I don't know. Time's an illusion.
Yeah.
It's not real.
Yep.
But anyways, let's talk about Fear Street because you and I have very similar opinions on this. But
Yeah.
I just want to, I want you to go first.
Oh. Okay. So
Yeah.
overall, of the three movies, I will say that. Oh, before we start this is a spoiler warning for everything.
Oh,
In
yeah.
this entire episode is basically spoilers. So if you haven't seen Fear Street, haven't seen the Loki episode, haven't seen My Hero, haven't seen Black Widow, this is a big spoiler thing. So just this is just your warning, and we'll probably try to make warnings for others before we start the next topic. So, but to start off with Fear Street, I liked the second part, which was 1974. Is that right? A lot better than the first and third
Oh, you're right. It's 1978.
It's 78, not 74.
Yeah.
Listen, we don't know what we're talking about.
I have no idea what's going on right now,
uh,
or at all at any time whatsoever.
exactly. But I liked that one better because it has Sadie Sink in it. She's Max from Stranger Things. I don't know, like,
That can't be the only thing. She's in the third one too.
yeah, I know. But it was just better than the first one because, like, when we watched the first one, it was just like, well, let me just say this. All three of those movies just are, like, so long. Like, they're too long in certain aspects, and it was just, like, grueling to, like, watch, just sit there and be like, is this
Yeah.
scene almost over? And then you pause it, it's only been 10 minutes in, and you're like,
Oh,
oh my
that was
god.
that. See, that's my favorite thing about these movies is that we would periodically just grab the remote and pause it, and it had only been like 10 minutes, and we just look at each other and go, "Oh fuck,
Yeah.
is it really that long?" But we just like resolved to like watch everything, even though we could just tell 20 minutes into that movie, this is not going to be good, is it?
Yeah. In the first one, I really liked the fact that Maya Hawke was in it. She was in the very beginning until she got killed, but I liked
Who's Maya Hawke? Is that the lady from
she's Robin from Stranger Things.
Stranger Things? Thank you.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I liked that she was in the beginning of it, and it was just kind of funny because I think she was in a video store, and that's basically where we left off with Robin in Stranger Things. So I just thought that parallel was funny.
Mm.
But
I also liked how that guy from Panic was in it. He
yep,
was like the MC for the year. That's about it, really. This is like he was in it for like 2 minutes. Oh, hey, I know that guy. Talking about like he actually makes like an actual impact on the story,
yeah.
like Garrett from Game of Thrones.
So I guess like another thing I didn't really like was like how lore heavy all the movies were. So like they give you like 20 people, and then you got to memorize all their names. You got to remember
Mm-hmm.
who's doing what, and why they're doing it. And it's just like they put it into three parts because it's going back in time. And it's just like, okay, I've already forgot
Well,
who the main person is. Well, what are they doing?
I thought it was an interesting like concept. Like I thought it was a really good idea. Like they just filmed 3 movies, and then they were just gonna release them like over a span of like 6 weeks or whatever the timeline was.
Hmm.
And I felt like the first movie wasn't very lore heavy. Like there wasn't just a lot of story because these it was about these kids who just have no idea really what's going on. Like like from the movie itself, they were just using like horror movie logic to like kind of get through it.
Right.
But obviously there was something else going on. And then I thought the second movie was gonna be like the lore dump of the movies, and they were just gonna save all like the really bad gore really juicy gore for like the last movie. But I was surprised to see that the last movie was like actually telling us what's going on, what's going down, and all that junk. It was just really long, and everybody had like an Irish accent in the last movie.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't dislike it, but it was almost jarring. Like I wasn't expecting that. Like obviously that like it's taking place in a time where the American accent hadn't developed yet, and a lot of people, like many people, were still coming over here to like set up like settlements at the time. But it was just everybody was Irish. I was like, wow, what's going on? Why is everybody Irish? But that's like not like any reason why I wouldn't like the movie. I just didn't like it because it wasn't good. It's just
Yeah.
all the movies were a bit too long, and they did the scenes in such a way where I was constantly looking at like the time or pausing it, and it just kind of speaks to like if it just couldn't get me into it, and it wasn't scary. That was another thing
Yeah.
too. It was just kind of gory in a sense, even though it wasn't that gory.
I was just about to say that for me, it should have been like more scary. And I think I was going into these movies thinking that it was just going to be straight up scary because there's three different movies that we've got, and they was more focused on like the satanic, witchy stuff and whatnot, you know. So I was expecting more of like a jump scare kind of movie.
I thought they were gonna do like kind of like a commentary or something like that about like different kind of eras of making horror films. Like I thought the second
Yeah,
one was just gonna be like your straight up slasher flick, and the third movie, 1666, was gonna be more Blair Witch, and I guess in some regard it was, but
right.
it kind of felt like it didn't reach it to that extent, and maybe it's that's because it's been done before.
Because like in the '90s, it would have kind of covered, I guess, Scream. That was a big one in the '90s. I'm not really sure any other '90s scary movies, but that's the first one that came to mind, and it was more somebody at the mall, just killing
Yeah,
people. So
in my mind for the first one, it almost it gives me the vibe of like Freddy versus Jason. Like that's what it was. Like they were just like, oh, let's try and kind of recreate that kind of feeling because they had all those killers show up again. But then again, they showed up in every movie.
right,
But yeah, we spent too much time talking about Fear Street.
yeah,
Let's
yeah.
move on. Let's
So
talk
let's
about
just end it on the fact
those.
that we did not really like it, and we'll move on from that.
Yeah, I give the movie a 7 out of what scale? We'll never know,
A
but it's
hundred.
7. Yeah, or yeah. Anyways, Loki. The season finale just happened,
Ugh,
and I loved it and hated it at the same time.
same.
I didn't know they were gonna make a season 2, and we were watching up to like the 40-minute mark or something, and I paused it. I was like, they're not really wrapping anything up. Like Sylvie's not getting her kind of end story, and Loki's like not really tying everything up to go back to his original timeline like he's supposed to. And
Right.
then of course now we know there's going to be a season 2, which I'm all for. I fucking loved this show. I just hope they make more episodes, like a longer season.
I also want Mobius to come back,
Yep. I was
obviously.
waiting for Mobius to like ride in on a golden jet ski and save the day or whatever, but that didn't happen. But I hope it happens next season. That'd be fucking
Yes.
fantastic. We got to look at some really cool things. I had seen TikToks about this before the episode came out about people kind of like I wouldn't want to say speculate, but it was a very educated guess about like what the end boss was going to be for this show, and they were just right on the money. They were talking about I think his name's Kang. I
Yeah.
don't want to mess that up. I think it's Kang. Okay, Kang the Conqueror, and I liked his character in this showing because I think some people on TikTok were like, this is after the fact, of course, when the scene came out. They're talking about how he's been there for like eons, just kind of making sure everything's like stacks up to like what he needs it to be. But
Hmm.
he goes insane because he knows everything, so everything's really boring. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I liked his character. I have to come out and say this though. I did not care for their kiss that they did. Part of me thinks that like Sylvie knew that Loki was going to do that, so she just went along with it because obviously we know that she pushes him through the door to get back
Yeah,
to the where is it, the TVA
the
or whatever
TVA. Yeah.
headquarters, headquarters.
Equals.
And so I guess I could give her that, being like, oh, he's got feelings for me, so whatever he does, we're just gonna roll with it, and then I'm gonna go take over the timeline or whatever. But other than that, I just thought it was silly. Like, I understand that it was just like, oh, it's him falling for himself, but it's just like, okay, but you wait. I don't know. I just didn't care for it.
Well, here's my question to you. Do you think Sylvie has genuine feelings for Loki? Or do you think it was all just like a ploy to just kind of get there?
See, that's what I can't figure out, is because like she trusted him, or quote trusted him enough to like get to up to that point, because they were working together. But then it's like, she, she's a Loki, so she just kind of went back on that. So I don't really know.
But we've now seen that like Lokis can change because we had classy Loki, like kind of breaking the mold of like what a Loki is,
Right.
and I think that's what Tom Hiddleston's Loki is kind of going through at the moment because his thing, like his whole thing leading up to this point, is like trying to be all powerful and just the man in charge gets to do what he wants,
Yeah.
and it was kind of his perception of himself was kind of broken in like the first or second episode whenever
Hmm.
he was with Mobius, and Mobius was like, "Oh, dude, I've seen your life 1,000 times. Yeah, like this is gonna be really interesting. Oh, and oh, by the way, here's where you die in like 2 years." And then like Loki's whole thing at that point is to get Infinity Stones, and they go out into like the main office area, and they're just like paperweights. So like his whole thing is like he's shattered and then built up from that point. But Sylvie doesn't kind of have that moral moral reckoning, I guess.
Yeah.
Like she was just a kid, and now she's been running around for however many years it takes an Asgardian to go from a child to I don't know, someone who looks like they're in their 30s around.
Right.
She's gonna have her own like come to God moment, and she's gonna recognize that. This is my thoughts, at least. This is my head canon. She's gonna have like her own come to God moment, and she's gonna be like, I do love myself, Loki, Tom Hiddleston.
I just think like one point is it was a bit fan servicey to be like, oh, let's get these two characters romantically involved or whatever. So that's just my opinion. Some people might have different views, or like whatever is canon in like comics or something. I don't really know all that side, but to me it was just a bit fan servicey and I didn't really care for it.
Were you a fan of the ship before that though? Like before the kiss, you were like, oh, I'm totally into it.
No, I liked them as a duo. Like they were just working together because they're Lokis. I liked them like that.
Oh, so when they had that like kind of look where they triggered a Nexus event,
Yeah.
um, you didn't think that was coming from like a romantic place. You thought that was just like, oh yeah, they're bros, two bros.
Well, I could tell that that's where it was going. I didn't really care for it. Is the thing.
Mm,
I really
okay.
liked them as a duo to like work together, and if that's where they're thinking about being in a relationship at the end, whatever. But to me, I was just like, I like them as them. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Um, as kind of like a sideline to that little discussion, I saw a TikTok last night that I thought was fucking hilarious. I don't know when it took place, but Tom Hiddleston was doing some kind of like interview thing, probably for like maybe even Endgame at this point. But somebody was asking him a question, and they were like, "So, when do you think we'll see a love interest with Loki? Like, do you think he's
Oh
gonna get
yeah,
that in these
I
movies?
think you
Have you
sent
seen
that
this
to me.
TikTok?"
Yeah.
Okay, I must have because I saw that and went, "Oh my god!" But anyways, for the people who haven't seen this interview, he just kind of like looks to the side, and he knew at that point because his next line is, "Well, in order to have like a relationship, you have to first love yourself," and
Right.
then I can't remember, but I'm guessing he looked straight in the camera, just like, "Meh." That's a hint for you.
I can't imagine like being involved in like a heavy series like Marvel stuff, and then people like interviewers being like, so like you gonna get a girlfriend or a boyfriend or blah blah blah, and they're just like, well, I
Yeah,
I love
every
myself, so I don't think anybody needs a partner or whatever, which is basically what he did.
Yeah.
He formed it pretty good because, Tom Tom Holland, on the other hand, very bad at giving away secrets of the movies.
Yeah. That's some really fun 2 a.m. YouTube shit to go down and just watching little clips of Tom Holland trying not to fuck up his entire career.
I want to say one other thing because
Okay.
obviously all these movies are connected. We've known that for many, many years now. And people were saying online that this is affecting like Doctor Strange now because he's going to apparently, from what I've heard, he's going to be in the multiverse for the Spider-Man movie, which has Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and our king, Tobey Maguire.
Our Kang.
I think he's in that movie. And everybody was like making memes about how like Sylvie controlling the timeline and Doctor Strange is like, oh god, So I'm just saying like that's going to be very interesting.
Oh, I also want to say this. I do think that's interesting, but I also want to have like a little last say just back on the show part when Sylvie shoves Loki through that time corridor thing.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of falls out and he runs over to Mobius, and I think it's like B20 or whatever that one TVA lady's designation is. He's like, oh, he's there, he's gonna destroy everything, and like they don't know who he is. I love how it took us a second to figure it out, but like the sacred timeline started branching, and then he got pushed back through, and that's why Mobius doesn't know who he is. That's why there's like a statue of Kang. Yep. In the TVA.
That made me so sad when Mobius was like, who are you? Loki, I can't get involved.
I can't get involved. I'm just a jet ski salesman. Anyways, moving on. Let's talk about My Hero Academia. The fact that they just haven't done the My Villain Academia arc yet. Because, Caitlin, you need, if they're not going to do it, you need to catch up on the fucking manga. You need to sit your ass down, call into work, and like read 200.
Sorry, I gotta read a manga. I can't come into work.
Can't come in. The episode's fine. It's great. It's great filler. I think it shows a lot of development, if you want to call it that. Like we've had this discussion before about like how the female characters of this show just kind of don't get any kind of screen time to develop who they are as people. Like even in yesterday's episode with Uraraka. And she's in the plane, and she understands her limits. Where she's like, oh, I can't do this. It weighs too much. And then her boss, I forget her, the dragoon hero, goes, "Are you giving up?" And Uraraka's like, "No," and then she just kind of does it, and she's like visibly struggling, but she kind of gets it done. Like I feel like they tried rushing like that, that stereotypical kind of arc for a hero. They smashed it into 10 minutes between 2-3 minute scenes of all the girls in bikinis, and that was the episode. I'm like, why did you bother doing this? This might be a thing in the manga. I haven't seen it yet, but I just finished My Villain Academia, and I'm not understanding why they've spent like weeks kind of going around that arc because it's so good.
Right. I liked the episode just from a general fan point of view, I guess. I thought it was cute, and we got to see what's that guy's name, the seal,
Selkie.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool to see him again. But I do agree, like they're bouncing around this arc that needs to happen, but or just building up to it. I guess I don't know.
I don't even know because they've kind of hinted at it. They've just kind of given us like a few like look-sees. I feel like they just need to do it. I want to see it on the big screen.
We got a taste of Uraraka's little new support items too. So she's developing
that was actually
her
pretty cool
costume more, and I think that's cool. And she's very inspired by Deku, which is really awesome as well because she wants to be a hero like him.
Mm-hmm. And we saw Nejire again, and she still has absolutely no role other than to like kind of provide information when needed, and to have that kind of I don't know how you would describe her demeanor, like bubbly, I guess.
Yeah.
We learned what her quirk does, and I want some specifics on it because in the anime, it just said that she converts her life force into like energy rays, and I was like, does that mean she like is taking 2 years off her life when she flies for 45 minutes? Like, is she just gonna be flying one day and like kind of clock out? Because she'll be 24 and she has 25. She can only live to be 25, and then she kind of like does like a massive burst of energy, or does she just get really tired?
She just must get really tired.
It would be just really cool if they would spend some time rounding out the top three at UA by giving Nejire some screen time.
That's very true, because there was a big old thing about Mirio wants to be the best hero he can be because he's called Lemillion because he wants to save 1,000,000 people,
Yeah.
And then we have Amajiki Tamaki, who's like, "Oh, I'm such a shy guy. I don't really think I'm that good of a hero." But then Mirio's over here like, "Oh my god, your quirk is so cool." And Fat Gum is like, "You need to like believe in yourself because you're a really good
You are
hero."
my son.
Yeah, you are my son. And then Nejire is over here like, "I'm here too."
Yeah, she's got a very Uva from Zelda, sorry, where she's like, "Hey, listen."
Oh yeah. So it just kind of sucks that they're getting murked over here.
Yeah, and apart from that, there's nothing else much to say. Oh, I guess if someone really wanted to think about it, we learned a little bit more about Uraraka's quirk. Because like the problem with like her taking down the plane was that she can make the plane weightless, but it still has momentum, so it's still gonna slam into the fucking ocean. But then Nejire does something to remove its momentum.
Yeah, I wasn't sure she reversed it somehow, like her little rays went in and went backwards. I don't really remember what happened at that point.
But yeah, apart from that, I don't really have anything else to say.
Oh, well, I will say one more thing. So in the beginning of the episode, they do a little recap. It was like a slight one, being like, Todoroki.
Here's all the stuff that didn't happen.
Yeah. No, so Shoto is like talking to Bakugo and Deku, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to come to my dad's agency and do the internship there, or work study, whatever they're calling it?" And I forgot that that episode had already happened because they were still in their Christmas getup, and I thought they went back to that, like it was like a continuation from that episode, and I was really confused for half a second, and I was like, "What's happening right now?" And he's like, "You want to come do the agency for my dad or blah blah?" And then they went on, and I was like, "Okay, I thought we were back on that Christmas episode still." I was like, "We just watched that like 2 weeks ago. What do you mean?"
Yeah. Well, it takes so long to get from episode to episode now.
Right.
And then nothing happens, and you're just waiting for something to happen, and then it's like, oh, remember this from fucking 3 weeks ago? I guess so. I wasn't really paying attention. Yeah. But anyways, the main attraction for today, in my opinion, Black Widow.
Yeah, let's get into that.
I saw a lot of hype on it. Like, I saw a lot of things where I'm on the anime and manga side of TikTok, and there are a lot of people who hold the notion that once you start watching like animes, it's hard to go back to live action things. And I saw a creator on TikTok, I won't remember what their handle was, but he was talking about, he's like this is like the first live action thing I've seen in like 3 or 4 years where I actually enjoyed it, and it was like very entertaining to watch. It was really good. So I was like, wow. Because I have friends who are like that, who are just like, anime's the only thing. I'm not gonna watch fucking anything else. Like Gordon Ramsay, go fuck yourself. Somebody else, go fuck yourself. But with this new movie, they really enjoyed it, and I was like, oh wow, this is gonna be a good thing then, right? And I'll repeat what I said when we saw the movie. It's not good. They done ScarJo dirty. And what were your thoughts on it? In like 2 sentences or less.
Yeah. I was very entertained. There were some parts that were quite long, so I was kind of like, oh my gosh. But I also wondered, I had to pee during the movie, so I was like sitting there half the time, like crossing my legs, thinking about that. And then I was like, God, this scene seems really long. When does it end? But aside from all that, I really did enjoy the movie. Partially because the cast was incredible. But we can get into that if you had something to say before that.
There's nothing up here, Caitlin.
Okay.
There are no thoughts.
No
I'm reading a script right now. Yeah, I'm reading the script you gave me, and I can't believe this dialogue's going to go on for another 2 pages, but let's go on for it.
Whatever. So what I was gonna say was we have David Harbour who plays quote unquote
Hopper.
what's his name, the Red Guardian,
Oh,
who's
his name's Russian Hopper.
shut up, quote unquote dad of Natasha Romanoff, and then we have obviously
Florence
Scarlett Johansson
Pugh.
and Florence Pugh, the queen herself.
Yeah.
I loved every scene that Florence Pugh was in. Josh, do you want to know
Really?
what
Every scene?
yes? You want to know my sexual orientation?
Towards Florence Pugh?
It's
Or
Florence
just in
Pugh.
general? It's oh, you just identify as Florence Pugh.
My sexual orientation is Florence Pugh.
Yeah, you go into the doctor and it's like I guess they don't ask you that kind of question. I don't know. You go somewhere where they ask you that and you just like scratch out and write
Florence Pugh.
Florence Pugh.
Also, my other sexual identity or sexual orientation is Natasha Romanoff's earrings in her left ear specifically.
I was also looking at that. She had so many earrings. I
thought
thought
that
that was
was
like a
awesome.
production mistake at first. Like I saw that and I was like, was she wearing that the whole time or have I just been not paying attention?
I
But
have
yeah,
no
it was
idea.
there. And I liked them as well. I thought that was really fucking rad.
Oh, we also have, I don't know the actor's name, but he's from the Handmaid's Tale, who
Oh yeah, the
plays
guy who plays
Luke.
Luke.
Don't
Yeah,
know
that
the
was
guy's
nice.
name, but I was very shocked to see him, and I was like, "Holy cow, what's he doing here?" You know. Like I said, I liked
It was
every scene that Florence Pugh was in. She had really good one-liners and like side comments. We've talked about this earlier, but she she makes a comment about how like Nat will like fly into a fighting scene and she'll land a certain way and flip her hair back, and Yelena, I believe is her name, she's like, "Why do you always do that? You look kind of silly." And then later on, Yelena does that move. She lands the way Black Widow does, and she flips her hair, and she's like, "Oh, that just it makes her cringe." I thought that was so funny. I just love that part.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about her character was all the just the kind of side stuff she has to say. And it was the same thing with David Harbour's character, where he just
Right.
just has like they wrote him to be funny, and David Harbour did a really good job of doing that.
One of my favorite scenes with David Harbour, as obviously the Red Guardian, is they go to the mom's house, Melena, I think it's Melina or something like that. They go to her house and he finds his old costume that he used to
Oh my god,
wear,
yes,
and
yeah,
he's fighting himself in the bathroom, grunting, trying to get the thing on because he's gained some weight. And it's so funny because they're all sitting at the table and all you hear is, "Ugh, ugh, ugh." And they're like, "What the hell is he doing?"
yeah. That was really fun, especially when you leaned over it and you're like, "That's me," and I kind of looked at you and went, "Me too." Listening to the movie, it was really weird. I thought it was just me with like old man ears or something, but I thought the audio was like insanely muted for all the dialogue. Like I couldn't hear, I would say probably a third of what they were all saying at any given point in the movie.
I also thought that.
Yeah, I was genuinely going deaf. But then during one of the early fight scenes, it was on the bridge. Taskmaster throws their shield at I think it was Natasha's flipped over car, and when it hit the metal, like it made a loud noise. So I was like, oh, so it's not like the theater or something, or and it's not my ears. It's just the audio is so quiet. I can't hear what they're
Right.
saying, and it was just it was not grating. Why do I want to say grating again? It was just it was jarring. Like I couldn't make out what they were saying. That whole thing about Budapest, where they're finally explaining what went down, and the kind of it kind of gives background information. I'm assuming about the joke between Natasha and Hawkeye about how like, oh, you still owe me one for Budapest. No, I paid you back for Budapest. And then because she was talking about Budapest with Clint, and I was like, well, if I could only fucking understand what she said other than Budapest and Clint for this fucking 5 minute scene.
Yeah.
So I just sat there, not really understanding what they were saying. But I didn't see anything about that online, so it must have been like the theater. Because,
Oh, really?
it was you, me, and mom. We're all just kind of like, yeah, I can't hear what the fuck they're saying.
And it also didn't help, in my opinion, that they had accents. And that's not to say that like it's their fault. Like if they actually had accents, you know. Well, I actually Florence Pugh is from the UK, I believe, so she's British, you know.
Hmm.
But it's
And
more the
Russians and
fact.
English people, they're essentially the same, right?
Well, it's I'm just saying like it's more the fact that I can't hear what they're saying because the audio's fucked up because of the theater or because the editor just didn't know what he was doing or something. So it was just like I can't hear what they're saying, you know. And then they have that accent, so I was like, okay, the audio could just be turned up a little bit, then I think I'd be able to tell what the plan is going on, you know, because they're talking constantly. But
Yeah.
I just like I would have loved to hear. I loved the accent. That's the thing. I was like, I loved hearing them. I loved hearing them speak in Russian too. I thought that was very cool. But I just couldn't hear half the dialogue because they're just cutting in and out. And I'm like, yo, what are they talking about? You know?
Them talking in Russian was the most clear dialogue because they also put subtitles down. So like, A, I don't speak Russian. B, I can kind of pick up on like the enunciation of things more, I guess, when I
Right.
can read something. But I just wanted to pick up my Fire Stick remote or my Roku remote and like click for subtitles because I just couldn't hear it. Goddamn thing. But apart from that, our mom had this problem too, where we just didn't feel totally engaged or like we didn't feel any ethos, I think is the word. Oh, that's my buzzword for the day. I noticed this just the other day. It was like a shower thought where I was like, I like to say words thinking that I know what they mean in my brain, but then I say them on the show and I'm like, what the hell does that actually mean? And then I
Yeah.
Google it and I've just Googled ethos, and it's the characteristic spirit of a culture, era, or community as manifested in its beliefs and aspirations. So I'm talking out of my ass. So is it pathos? A quality that evokes pity or sadness. No, I'm just completely just making shit up in my brain. But anyways,
I know
um,
words.
I just I couldn't become emotionally attached. That was the pretentious way of what I wanted to say. Was I didn't feel that invested in the characters apart from the fact like they did funnies.
I also think part of that is partially because of the interaction in the audience. And what I mean by that is that we went to the theater that's nearest to us, like just a local one, and it wasn't packed, but there was enough people. They were distracting.
Yeah, they certainly did not help. They
You said
detracted
this
from it.
earlier, but like I think people just kind of forgot how to sit during a movie, and because obviously they've been closed for a whole year, so people just they're in their own homes, so they can pause it, go to the bathroom, go to the kitchen, do whatever they need to do, and just come back,
Yeah.
or just not continue the movie at all. They'll just pick it up later, and it was just like we were in this theater, and there was a family like 2 rows ahead of us that like spread themselves halfway through the freaking like seat area. So like one kid was all the way at the end by the aisle. The dad was in the middle of the aisle or the seats. The mom was in between them, and whoever else was with them. But it was just like the kid just kept getting up and walking back and forth.
He was also talking too. And
Yeah, he was
I won't
talking.
fault a kid for like not being completely aware of how loud he's being in a movie theater, but like when
Right.
it's dead silent and he's like meh, 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 meh. I almost want the mom to just be like, "Can you shut up for like 20 seconds?" David Harbour's trying to be funny on the screen.
I have a story about that, and I'll come back to it. But the other part was there were people all the way like towards the front that were just getting up and leaving and coming back.
That was the weirdest part.
We were like all the way in the back by the wall, and
Yeah.
the door just kept opening and shutting, opening and shutting. You could see the lights from out there. I was like,
Yeah,
Jesus
it kept
Christ, can
catching my
people
eye.
just calm down for like half an hour, you know?
Yeah.
But the story that I wanted to bring up was I went to see Avengers Endgame while I was in Florida with my coworkers, right?
Yeah.
And so this was like a pivotal movie. Like everybody was seeing this movie, you
Well, yeah,
know?
yeah.
And so you don't want to miss a second. You want to see every detail that they're gonna shove in your eyeballs, right?
Yeah.
So we're sitting there, and there was a kid that sat behind us, and he kept talking, and my coworker would always just go shh, shh,
Oh yeah.
shh. Would always just shush this kid, and it made me laugh. I was like, I think I almost laughed so hard, disrupting everybody else, but she just kept going shh, shh, and I just laughed. I was like, yeah. dude, this movie's literally 3 hours long. Take the kid out and like let him not talk in the movie theater or whatever. But it was
Yeah,
fun.
it always reminds me of like these kind of experiences too. Remind me of you, me, and our brother going out to see Terminator Salvation, and we
Yep.
walk in, and there's like a young couple sitting at like midway up the stairs, and one of them had like a straight up baby in their lap,
Mm-hmm.
and we had to sit through Terminator Salvation with Christian Bale with a baby screaming in the background because I'm sure they figured that like you shouldn't bring a baby to go see a Terminator Salvation movie because it's really loud
Right.
and like it's not respectful to like do that and where you're supposed to be quiet. It's like it was like a newborn baby. It was like young as shit. I don't know what babies look like in like the first few like months of their birth, but like it was a young looking baby. But like it was just us and them, and the whole time we were just like, why bring the baby? Like they probably didn't
Yeah,
have like
it
a
was
babysitter or whatever,
strange.
or they didn't trust a babysitter yet, but they were still like, we gotta go out, it's date night.
Yeah, I don't know what possessed him though to be like, let's just take the baby with us to a really loud movie where other people
It'll
will
be
be.
fine.
The
Yeah,
baby doesn't cry that much.
but yeah. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, Black Widow. Um, yeah, I feel like they established with this is one thing I wanted to see from David Harbour's character. The Red Guardian kind of has in this representation, it kind of has a thing for like wanting to be like on at least equal footing with Captain America
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
he does that. He does that. He has that little prison sequence where like he kind of like he like breaks that guy's arm or whatever in prison because the guy called him a liar about telling a story that was clearly not true about Captain America, and
Oh
he'd bring it up at
gosh.
random times.
His wrist just disintegrated in front of him, and I was like, oh.
No cap, bro. The kid that we were just talking about who was walking around, he was standing in front of the screen at the time, so I didn't see what his hand looked like.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
he was like literally standing at the
Imagine,
perfect spot.
imagine a limp noodle.
A limp noodle. All right, he could high five his own elbow.
Yes, exactly.
I wanted them to do this thing because there's a scene where it's him and the mom, him being David Harbour, and the mom are in a jet and they're gonna fly off the Red Room, but everything's being destroyed, and the car, not the car, sorry, they're in a car on the Red Room. They're gonna fly off. They're on a plane, and it kind of lurches forward, and it looks like it's gonna fall, but it just kind of hinges on that tipping point for a moment, and I wanted to see the Red Guardian jump out and use his superhuman strength to like pull it back on because they're waiting for the kids. They're waiting for Florence Pugh and ScarJo to like get
Yeah.
back. But nope, that's not what happened. Because I just wanted that to happen because then we get to see this really cool scene where he's actually very clearly strong because he's superhuman. It would draw a parallel to when Captain America did that in I think it was the first Avengers movie with the helicopter and he's wearing that tight gray shirt. He's like, "Ma," and he like pulls it back down or whatever.
Yeah, I can't remember which movie it was, but I know what you're talking about.
But yeah, I wanted to see that with David Harbour, and like maybe like when he's like pulling it back, he's like, and then like he's like obviously too big for his suit, so it just rips in the most the least convenient places. Like he just like it rips and like all his flab just kind of not his flab, but like his chub just kind of like is like poking out now. I thought that would have been a really nice touch, but yeah, they didn't do that.
I want to go over the end scene.
The end credit scene or the
Yeah,
end scene?
the end credit
Okay,
scene
with Florence Pugh and
with
that
Florence
one lady from
Pugh.
Seinfeld, who I think is from Seinfeld.
Yeah, Google that real quick because I don't know. But
Oh, sure.
when they like showed Natasha's grave, I was like, "How dare they do this?
How dare
And
you?
how dare you?" And then, first of all, Florence Pugh looks amazing. She's rocking that outfit. I loved it.
Yeah, I thought that was a
But
really cool outfit.
the thing that I wanted to bring up was the fact that we get this other woman shows up and she's like, "Oh, hey, here's my card," or whatever she says. But she was the woman that was in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. For those of you who've seen that show as well, I thought it was interesting because she's like creating a group. But this was. Wait a minute. Sorry, now I'm thinking about stuff. I thought this was going to be like, oh, Florence or Yelena was like the first person that she went to, but this is after Endgame. We don't know what point it is because Falcon and Winter Soldier is after Endgame. So she basically was recruiting John Walker, I think that was his name, the guy who was like the new Captain America that nobody asked for.
Yeah.
Um, but
That's Kurt
but
Russell's son too,
essentially,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
essentially this woman is gathering people, I assume, to make a group. So far we have John Walker and Yelena. So
And that is the lady from Seinfeld. I'm
ah
surprised I recognized her after so long. I haven't watched Seinfeld since like 2002, back when it used to be on in the morning before everybody left to go do their respective things.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's her. I'm looking forward to it, but I hope we see something a little bit better than this. I couldn't get into Florence Pugh apart from like her side dialogue, and I don't think that's anything that like Florence Pugh did. I just think that's how it was kind of written or how it
Right.
came off. But it was just weird. I just couldn't get into it. But I was super excited to see Jeremy Renner's face on that screen
Yes.
being held by the Seinfeld lady.
I was surprised and excited.
Well, do you have any more final thoughts, or should we get into the
Let's
weekly
do the
quiz?
last thing. Yeah, so
Okay.
a little weekly thing that we always do. We're going to take a quiz. And this one is I bet we can guess which Black Widow character matches your personality. So, once again, we will put this in the description if you'd like to take this as well. Let us know who you get. But, Josh, why don't you start us off?
Okay, we have to pick an Avenger. Steve Rogers, Thor, Sam Wilson, Wanda, Tony, or Bruce. I'm just gonna go Wanda because I love Wanda.
Me too.
She's fantastic.
Which of these Black Widow looks was your favorite? So we have
Oh, this one's kind of
some pictures of Natasha Romanoff. So we've got the look from Iron Man 2. What?
I'm sorry. I want to bring it back to the actual movie. I'm sorry to do this now, but seeing this question has brought back another thing that I just didn't really care for in this movie,
Mm-hmm.
where there just seemed to be a lot of ass shots in this movie.
Oh,
Like a lot of unnecessary angles and a lot of like movements that I was just like, why is she moving? Like, oh, it's so the camera can focus on her butt. And it was like I first noticed it early on in the film. Again, it was the initial fight between Natasha and Taskmaster, and she's like walking back to her car, and there's like a solid 45 seconds where they go from like the whole shot of the screen to like just her ass and the car and her walking closer to it. And I can't remember what happens afterwards because for that 45 seconds, I just sat there. I was like, that was just her ass. Like there was like nothing else really going on in the shot other than like you saw the car wrecked that you saw for the entire scene.
yeah.
And then there were just like scenes where like she was like on all fours backing up, and then it just kind of like just showed you that shot from behind, and I was like, oh, what the fuck? What's going on here? Like, I remember there being like a lot of talk around this early on in the Avengers when they were just like, yeah, why is like, because it's the famous movie poster where like all the male characters are like facing forward, and then Scarlett Johansson's like her like butt is towards the camera, and she's like holding a gun, like very Charlie Angels-esque, and they're just like, why are you doing this? But yeah, sorry, that was another thing I didn't care for. There just seemed to be a lot of shots where it was just fan servicey, and that you can just look at her butt. You pay $8 to go look at her butt for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
It seemed like at some points. But I'm sorry, keep reading.
All right, yeah. So we're picking our favorite looks of Natasha Romanoff, and so our choices are her looks from Iron Man 2, The Avengers, Captain America: The Winter Soldier, Captain America: Civil War, Avengers: Infinity War, or Avengers: Endgame. And I'm not going to describe you what her hair looks like. You could just Google that.
It's
but
mostly red.
It's mostly red. One of them's blonde. But I'm going for the Avengers because that was like her hairstyle, like in Avengers: Age of Ultron, which is my favorite movie. But I also really like her hair short and like that little bob going on.
I loved her hair in Endgame. It's very Anna-esque, and that's not the reason why I like it. I just think it looks good. So I'm going Endgame. All right, you have to pick a Natasha Romanoff quote. I don't judge people on their worst mistakes. We owe it to everyone not in this room to try. We all have to choose between what the world wants you to be and who you are. I'm trying so hard to do it dramatically, but I'm just garbage. We have what we have when we have it. Okay. I've got red in my ledger. I'd like to wipe it out. I get emails from a raccoon. Nothing sounds crazy anymore.
Which one are you going for?
I don't know. The quotes. The raccoon one.
I was gonna
That
go
was
for that
the
one, so
funniest.
I'm gonna be different. I'm gonna go for we owe it to everyone not in this room to try.
Hmm.
All right, which of these words best describes you? Resilient, generous, intelligent, caring, supportive, or practical?
Oh, wow.
Okay, I'll pick one
I
for
don't.
you, and then you
I
pick one
hate.
for me.
Yeah, sure. You want me to go first for you? I'd say you're supportive or
Oh, thank you.
caring. I'd say supportive though for mostly.
Okay, I would say either intelligent or practical for you.
Okay. Thanks, bro. Thanks, bro.
You're welcome,
All
bro.
right. I'm picking intelligent. Oh, they spelled shield wrong. This will not ruin the efficacy of the quiz in my eyes. It's still going to be amazing. But we have to choose a shield agent to work with. Nick Fury, Maria Hill, Phil
Did they spell it
Coulson.
wrong?
Yeah. SheIld. I can hear you tapping your keys to go to Google. How do you spell shield?
Oh, they did. Wow. Yeah.
Well,
You're
it's
right.
BuzzFeed. I'm not. Let's drop
Sorry.
the act. Let's get rid of the script. It's BuzzFeed.
Continue.
Choose a shield agent to work with. Nick Fury, Maria Hill, Phil Coulson, Clint Barton, Sharon Carter, Peggy Carter.
Picking Clint.
Well, here's the thing. I want to pick Nick because it's Samuel Jackson, but I think if you were to accept that this is the actual universe, Nick Fury is obviously not Samuel Jackson. He's Nick Fury, and on that respect, I would pick Phil because I saw a TikTok of him making a Star Wars reference in his show Agents of Shield. But I'm just gonna go with Nick Fury. He seems like a really cool guy. I'd want to play chess with Nick Fury. I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah. All right. Which
Plus,
of
he's Samuel
these
Jackson.
is a weakness of yours? I have trouble saying no. I have a hard time seeing the bigger picture. I'm impatient. I can be a little selfish. I struggle to help. Excuse me. I struggle to ask for help, or I lack confidence.
Oh God, I would say a lot of them.
All of these? All of the
Most. Which one of these is you? Yes. I'm gonna go with I'm impatient because I can be very impatient sometimes.
I went with I have trouble saying no.
Okay, you're on a mission and you hear an enemy approaching. What's your plan of action? Find the quickest way to escape. Immediately send for backup. Create a diversion and run. Try to talk my way out of battle. Spy on them to learn new information. Sneak attack. You're gonna go full Sokka. Just go sneak attack.
Yeah. Well, this is all depends on like what's the plan, what's going on, you know.
Well, this is the plan. You're making it right now. They're approaching. They're coming up the hill. What are you gonna do?
Who's my enemy? Who's coming at me? Is it
Um,
Ultron or is it
it's Team
somebody
Jacob
else?
from Twilight. They're coming to attack you.
Jacob.
Yeah.
A herd of teen girls for Team Jacob.
Yeah. How are you gonna
at-
take
coming
down
at you.
these teenage girls?
I think I would call for backup.
You'd be like, Edward,
Edward!
Team Charlie, where are you?
Yeah. Did you
I'd probably try. Oh, I haven't picked yet. I'd probably go
Sorry.
for create a diversion and run. Like I'd go, oh my God, is that Taylor Lautner at the bottom of the hill? And then the second they turn around, I run away and like leave like a dust cloud silhouette of myself.
All right. Which of these is the most important? Love, power, knowledge, family, happiness, or revenge?
I know what I'm picking.
We're the Revengers.
We're the Revengers.
What are you picking?
I'm picking happiness.
Oh, I was gonna go for that one.
Well, pick it then. We've already
pick-
diversified the portfolio
I'm
enough.
picking family.
Okay, Dom. Finally, what skill would you bring to a team of super spies? 'Cause I'm an international super spy. Oh God, you might have to cut
Super
that.
spy!
We might have just like ruined thousands of people's ears by saying
Nope, I'm
that.
keeping it.
Okay, what skill would you? I'm completely lost what this was.
Just
What
read out
skill
what the
would you
options
bring
are.
to a team of super spies? Stealth, intellect, strength, leadership, hope, baking. I don't know if they're
pick
super
hope.
spies. They're probably better at me than everything.
Right, exactly.
I would not bring hope. I would be Bill Paxton from Aliens, just going, game over, man, game over. Shit, I don't know. Probably the fucking baking, to be honest. I can bake a mean cookie. That's about it.
A mean cookie.
A mean cookie.
Yeah, you'd
Oh,
make the pudding.
yeah, for sure. I'd make the 5 minute easy baked pudding.
All
Who'd you
right,
get?
you want to go first?
No, you.
Oh, okay. So I got Melina.
Oh, you got Florence Pugh.
Vostokov? You got Melina as well?
No. I said you got Florence Pugh. I got the
no,
best
no.
one.
I got the mom.
Oh, you got the mom.
Yeah.
Okay. You see, I don't know anything about the mom. She was always in the background, and I didn't know. Didn't care.
Apparently, I'm a strong leader. When it comes to being in charge, you know full well what's got to happen. I don't know. I don't think that's correct.
I got Alexei Shostakov.
Nice.
I got Hop. Russian Hop. You make even the darkest of nights feel like sunshine. Whenever someone you know is in pain, they can always count on you to make them feel better. Don't let anyone undervalue you. You know how special you are.
I can see it.
My mom always calls me her special little man, and that makes me feel special. So I guess that counts.
All right.
Anyways,
That was fun.
that's the end. Yeah. Listen here,
Yeah.
fella. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Again, the quiz will be in the description. Let us know what you got. And again, thanks for listening. I'm Caitlin.
I'm Josh.
Listen here, feller.